been a minute. I cut my hair. I hated it at first. It is way shorter than I asked for. But yeah, the more I like play around with it, she's decent. As you can tell, we have a new setup. Yeah, some stuff has gone down and I wanted to sit down and talk about it because I haven't posted or even recorded in a while. I've been wanting to, but it's just like one thing after another and I just want to talk about it. First of all, I moved back home. It's weird being back, but I like it. My mom's here, you know, I have my old room, my dogs are happy. I'm just away from my husband, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, it's for the best, and I'll explain why. Yeah, that's the tea, so we're about to talk about it.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there.
As you know, I was living in Oklahoma, and I had told the story about my vehicle getting destroyed. This next thing is quite insane. So I thought, you know...
Wow, that was such a freaky thing that happened to me, you know?
Like, you think things and you're like,
that would never happen to me.
Well, they all happened to me. It all started out because I had ordered a package, of course, online shopping. It was taking way longer than I expected, so I was like, whatever. And I looked online to like track it, you know, and it had said that it had already been delivered, and I was like, bitch, no. I was kind of like,
where's my package?
Couldn't find it. I went into the office and there was a man in there, and he was just like watching me, and I was like, hi, and he's like, hey, hope you have a good day, and I'm like, thanks. So I walk out and I talked to the UPS guy because he was there. And I was like, hey, I've been missing a package, you know, is it here? And the man that had spoke to me before had walked outside with me when I walked outside. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, okay, he's leaving the same time I am. Well, he goes and sits down on this picnic table, which is right by where I was talking to the UPS guy. He heard me speaking to the man, and I was like,
my package here, blah, blah, blah.
He's like,
No, ma'am, you know, if I find out, I'll put it in the office for you.
and I'm like, thanks. And I had my dogs with me. I was holding one, walking the other. And the man, like, looked at me. And I was like,
Hi.
you know, hi again. You already talked to me once. And he was like,
Oh, I know that feeling. You want that package right now, huh?
and I'm like,
Yeah, I would like it right now.
and I walk upstairs to my apartment because I lived on the second floor. And I was like, okay, that guy was kind of freaking weird. So I looked down and he was watching me, like he was just like he had gotten up to look at me and where I was going. And I was like, okay, what the f. So I had walked upstairs. He saw me. I was like, okay, that's freaking weird. So I went upstairs because I was going to take a shower because I was getting ready for this thing that my friend had invited me to. I walked in, put the dogs away, locked the door, went and started showering. And of course, when you're home alone, who's not gonna lock the door? And I'm a scaredy cat to begin with, so of course I locked the door. And I got done with my shower and I went to the bedroom and I was listening to a podcast, so it was kind of loud. But I was doing my makeup and straightening my hair, and I heard the door like bust open. And I was like, my first thought was, how did Jordan get here? Like, for one, he doesn't have a vehicle to get here because he's not allowed to have one there. 2, he doesn't have the key. 3, it was like super early. But that was just my first thought. So I hear the dog start screaming. Like, she was freaking out. So I had walked outside. I had walked into the living room to see what was going on. And all I saw was the dogs like freaking out, in the door. I watched it slam. Like, I'm not kidding. I literally watched it shut. I didn't see who it was or who had came in. But I know I locked that door. So my first thought was like, what the hell? Like, somebody just broke in. I run over there, slam and lock the door. I made sure nobody was in before I locked the door. I'm not stupid. I call my mom and I'm like,
Mom, somebody just busted in. I don't know what to do.
and she's like,
Okay, before you freak out, call your office and make sure it wasn't one of them that had came in.
so I was like, good point, good point. Sorry, my camera is shaking. It's because I'm on my bed and it's like shaking, sorry. So I called and I'm like, hey, yada yada, this is the situation. Did somebody come in? Long story short, she said no. And I was like,
Okay, well, somebody did.
I have this neighbor that's across like the hall from me, and he's like this retired army guy. He's an older man. He's like super nice. my first instinct was to go knock on his door and see if anything weird had happened to him. After the lady had told me no, I was like, okay, that's weird. And before I had even called my mom, I looked outside to see if I could see anybody, and I couldn't. But I had walked to the neighbor's apartment, and I saw a note on his door. I just quickly read it because I was being nosy, but didn't think anything of it. And I had knocked on his door, and I said, did anything weird just happen to you? He's like, no, why? And I explained to him what happened, and he was like,
oh, you know, that's weird.
And I was like, yeah, I know. And I had read his note to him, and I was like, oh, you know, and I didn't think anything of it. And so he just rips it up, and he's like, oh, I don't know who that's from. And after he had ripped it up, I was like, oh my god, that note was for me. Because the note had said,
hey, I hope you find your UPS package. If you ever want to go out to eat sometime or on a date, just let me know.
With the guy's name and number. So clearly it was the guy that had talked to me before. And so I was like, oh my god, he meant to put that on my door. And you just ripped it up, and that could have been like evidence if that was a man that broke in. Anyways, the guy was like, oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's fine. So, and he had already tossed it away, so there was no like salvaging it. I walked downstairs and I saw this woman out there who I've talked to before. She has a little daughter and some dogs. And I was like, did anything weird just happen like 5-10 minutes ago? And she's like,
yeah, actually, there was some man walking, and he started yelling, he's running, and then a black car sped off.
and I was like, okay, that was clearly associated with my situation. There's a cop that lives at the apartment place, and he has like 2 cameras pointed out to like the courtyard where like the pool is and stuff. And he's the only one that has cameras just for his security purposes. But, you know, I had asked him if he could look on there and see if he could see anything, you know, about the situation. He's like,
oh yeah, of course I'll look.
so he goes and looks, and he gets back to me on the next day. As I was waiting for that, I had went and talked to the office lady, explained the whole situation, and she's like,
Oh, that's weird. You know, that man that you're talking about, he was in here, and he had said that he was on his bike, and he was waiting for his friend to get back.
so I was like, okay, so this guy may have had, like, he may have been part of this and had his friend come pick him up in that black vehicle. So that was like my first thought. But the next day rolls by. I tell my husband about this, and he is livid. He's like,
oh, who am I gonna beat up, blah blah blah.
I'm like,
Jordan, I didn't even see who it was.
and he's like,
I don't care, blah, blah.
so he was mad, not at me, you know, but, and of course I'm scared. I didn't even want to sleep in my apartment, so I had stayed with my friend that I had mentioned before, because I was just really scared. And we had bought a lock and put a lock on there, because I don't know who it was, but whoever it was had got in without a key, or maybe a key that was from before, but the people said that they had changed their locks. I don't know, but they got in, and I know I locked the door, so that freaked me out. The cop had told me, you know,
Ma'am, this man has been stalking you. Like, I can see him from the cameras. Like, he watches you when you let your dogs out. He watches you from, you know, like, a distance.
and I'm like, okay, that just made it 10 times scarier. Like, that's freaky. Like, they were not coming for my stuff. Like, they were coming for me if they were stalking me. And that's what the man had said. He was like, I don't think he was there for your stuff. Like, the way he's stalking you, you could tell he had no good intentions. And I was like, freaked out. So of course I stayed with my friends. My husband's even more upset, and I was like, you know what, I don't know if I can stay here. He's like, yeah, you know, I love seeing you every day, even if it's just for a couple of hours, but this is not safe. And I was like,
Yeah, I totally agree.
Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the school when a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared.
so we cut the lease, we got out. That's what took me so long to post, because we were,
That situation had happened, and then we had to move back. And then, you know, I had to get into the rhythm of being here, unpack, organize.
so that was freaky, and that's all I know about the situation. The cop couldn't legally do anything because it is like public property. It's not like, it's something he had said that I would have to make a police report, and I'm like, you know what, it's not even worth it. I'm just gonna go home. There's another situation that happened. I got home, I was getting, you know, I was about to record, blah blah. Me and my husband, he had came home for Memorial Day weekend, or Labor Day weekend. That's why we were able to move and everything. When he was home, him and his stepfather were riding crotch rockets, and it was late at night, and his stepfather had wrecked, and I was having a panic attack, freaking out, thinking it could have been Jordan. It was just a crazy another experience I'm not going to go into detail about, because everybody is fine, everything is fine. That was just not something I wanted to add on to my stress and worry, but everybody's okay. But he had surgery on his shoulder, and he's okay now. He's back home. And Jordan was completely fine. It's just the thought that it could have been him, which scared me. It's like one thing after another. And Jordan's back now. I had to bring him back. And then I was puking for like 3 days straight. Yeah, I just wanted to explain what had went down. I know people have seen on Facebook and all that, but I just wanted to go into detail about the whole situation because I was freaked out. I feel so much safer here at my mom's house, and I'm just so ready to move with my husband in 6 weeks. Actually decorate, know we're gonna be there long, pick up a decent job, go back to college. Like, I'm just so excited for all that. I'm so excited to get our life started. I didn't want to do any of this because of all this bouncing around and the waiting. I'm ready to be settled and actually get our crap going. I'm just so excited for that. I'm currently babysitting a baby almost every day of the week, and I love her. She is so cute, and that's just like a little job I can have without having to quit somewhere, you know, after 6 weeks. I don't want to do the job bouncing around. I'd rather just do something small like that, and then when we move, get something more serious. But I'm just so excited to continue our journey of where we're gonna go next. It'll either be California or North Carolina, so I'm really excited about that. But thanks for listening to another one of my story times. This one's less dramatic, but it was very scary. And now I know, you know, you can't trust everybody. Not that I gave this guy any type of information. He clearly was stalking me. But like, no matter how nice the guy seemed, okay, rewind. I don't even know if the guy was the guy that had broken in. But it just so happens that all this happened on one day. So like a coincidence that this man spoke to me the day somebody broke in. Like, so I can't just assume it was him, but all the pieces fit together that he had something to do with it. Just know you can't trust everybody, no matter how nice they seem, or don't talk to strangers. Believe what your parents say. Because even though you may think this would never happen to me, this could happen to you. This could happen to anybody. There's scary people out there. But yeah, thanks for clicking on my video. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Stay tuned for the next ones, because I'm hopefully not going to wait this long, because I've had people ask me if I stopped making videos, and I didn't, because this is so much fun, and I paid this much for a camera. I'm going to stick it out. Which, there's no sticking it out. I love it. I've been talking for 17 minutes. I may cut more of that out, but anyways, thank you. Bye guys.